Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am BorderWise and welcome back to From the Depths, Let's Build! And today we're indulging ourselves a little bit because, surprise surprise, we're building a canoe, but thankfully it's a plasma canoe, which means it's slightly more new and relevant than the canoes I usually make. So I had a sudden whim to make something like this because I feel in order to get to know a weapon system really well, you gotta make complete craft which use it, so I'm already making an airship on stream, or have made, an airship on stream that uses plasma, so it's time to make plasma ships, with plasma as the main weaponry, so we can see just how good and or bad, pros and cons, of them, I guess. And so, there's a number of things I'm trying in this video. One of them is kind of, you'll see that the way I'm making this turret is exactly 9 by 9 by 9 in dimension, so 9 meters wide, 9 meters long, and 9 meters across. It's arguably not the most efficient way to make a turret because it means once it's on the turret block, you do get a little bit of wasted space. But in this particular case, that is by design because it means on the front of the turret there's layered armor, and on the sides there's surge protectors, and in the back there's batteries. So this thing actually carries its batteries on its turret, which is just a nice way of just, I guess, making sure that, like, you know, it's all in one place. You lose the plasma, you don't need the batteries, and if you lose the batteries, well, the plasma doesn't work anyway, so might as well be there. Your mileage may vary on whether that's actually worth doing. So, we're just blocking in the plasma turret, and funny thing is that it's really striking how with plasma the plasma itself, that's the easy bit, because plasma is kind of, I guess, not like idiot-proof is probably a little bit mean, but it's a very straightforward weapon system, really. Like, it's hard to do it wrong. And in any case, like, the thing is so damn expensive that, like, if you're using it, it's like, well, like, optimization is arguably not the highest priority for plasma because, like, its role really feels like a kind of, screw it, like, I am willing to spend extra just to tear heavy armor to pieces because, well, that's its job, and it actually does that pretty well. So as you can see there, we've made this turret, and it's got a little bit of a gap in there, which we're going to fill with all kinds of things. It's a triple-barreled plasma turret, simply because I think that's fun, and there's also a little bit of redundancy, so you don't get an entire turret rendered useless, and also because plasma seems to have kind of a strict size limit, really. Like, really big plasma guns, they're super fun, but it's also kind of underwhelming. Like, you build a giant plasma gun, you're really better off making something that's like, you know, a giant cram or APS or particle cannon, because those scale with size better. Plasma kind of doesn't, and this one is actually kind of silly. Oh, here come the batteries. Apologies if this makes you cringe. But yeah, so plasma, I don't know, there's only so much of a plasma jolt you can deliver all at once, really, and that's probably terrible placement, I've just realized. And yeah, this is a kind of way of making turrets that I've been experimenting with. I don't think it's super good, but it is really straightforward, and I like straightforward. Like, this might be a shock, but I don't like doing things in a really complicated way. Which is probably why I've managed to keep playing From the Depths for so long, and probably also why it takes me such a long time to get good at anything, or competent at anything in From the Depths, because I'm like, I am a lazy boy, and I want to do the easy route, please, the straightforward route. And so yeah, this is basically just going to be a giant as a plasma monitor canoe type thing, because I felt like it. And, like, you've probably already guessed, I don't finish this all in one video. What you're watching, for those of you who aren't familiar with the whole Let's Build thing, this video is pre-recorded, so this is post-commentary, obviously, and it is sped up ×2, just so we can, I don't know, get through it a little bit quicker. Like, I will be finishing off this. It's probably maybe 1 or 2 more Let's Build episodes of this, I guess, so we'll have to see. We will have to see how well I do. And, yeah, oh, transition blocks. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta love it. So, this turret is probably not gonna win any prizes for durability or efficiency, let's be honest. But I like it. It's like, you know, like there's something very satisfying about a turret cap that just kind of looks good. And one of the great things about Plasma, the mantlets in particular, is that they're very strong and means you don't actually have to cover them up as much as you do with APS or Cram, or even other things like Plasma or laser combiners. Actually, laser combiners are quite squishy from what I recall. And so yeah, it means you can just kind of poke them out there and, you know, they're exposed to the world, naked and vulnerable, except not really, because they're like, you know, they're quite heavy and tough. So yeah, that's just blocking in this turret and just figuring out how the shape is gonna go. And it's gonna, I don't know, it's just gonna be a turrety type turret, I guess. Yeah, and the real fun bit is figuring out how we're gonna stick detection on this, because that could be interesting. And basically, this is the kind of necklace turret I like making, where it's essentially the turret cap is like an armored umbrella for the turret beneath it, which sometimes works, it sometimes does not. It, like, you know, sometimes it varies. Also, I realized that putting heavy armor straight next to the detection is just begging for EMP surges to kill it, but I tend to find that they get killed anyway, so yeah, arguably not best practices there, but also EMP is sure to kill them anyway, and, well, I don't want just, you know, anything else to just murder them that easily. So yeah, these plasma guns are... Yeah, also interesting thing, I really gotta make that freaking plasma tutorial. It's late, I know, but like, this is kind of the reason I'm holding off on that is because I want to get some more experience with the weapon system first. Like, you know, actually taking a plasma-armed craft, like, into a campaign, which is kind of the reason behind, what the hell did I call it? I want to call it the Flying Purple People Eater, but that's not what it's called. It's called... Oh yeah, it's called the... Flying Plasma Toaster or something? A Purple Plasma Toaster? I don't know. I named the thing and I don't remember what it's called. But anyway, so I want to basically play with it for real, as opposed to just mucking around with the sandbox, because you learn a lot mucking around in the designer, but you really do need a kind of uncontrolled, unplanned situation in order to really get a feel for a weapon system, or so I feel. Feelings. Also, one thing I love about this kind of very flat turret is like the kind of barrel guards you can make with this. I am super fond of wedges these days. You've probably noticed wedges are just great. I think they look good. It's the main reason I make them. And I'm willing to compromise the structural integrity of my turrets in order to jam as many wedges in there as possible. So, yeah. And I'm not even that much of a fan of potato wedges. And yeah, that is a turret. And I completely skipped over like the optimization. Well, just setting up like the actual plasma settings in there. And I placed those medium-sized steam turbines down there because thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna need them. And then looking at this turret, I just knew immediately, like, yeah, no, we're gonna need. Yeah, because I want BRT. It's arguably not the most efficient use of plasma to make it, like, you know, fire that quickly, but also, it's fun and silly, and I want it to make a mess of things. And that rotates all the way, so we can get rid of the rubber. Beautiful, beautiful. And what else, So, BorderWise, what are you doing? Oh yeah, so, magenta, purple, yep. Oh, I think this is where we're just mucking around now, because I thought, like, you know what? Let's do, just for giggles, the primary colors. Or, not primary colors, just, let's make things colorful. And we're gonna do that, target hot blocks. I am so fond of targeting hot blocks at the moment, because, like, ever since that Pyre Most Wanted video I made, it's a kind of wake-up call. Like, you know, you can play this game for ages, and then you suddenly realize, hang on, aiming for the hot blocks is actually a really good idea, because it is actually aiming for vulnerable parts of something. So we're seeing that, and we're seeing just the damage tick up way more, and bearing in mind this is a very expensive turret, and arguably not the best way to use a plasma gun. And yeah, just you know, more steam engines just quickly, just seeing how fast it burns through it. And chunks of pyre, so that's nice. I think I actually do sit and just watch this because it is just so fun to watch. Something tear through the pyre like this. And like, yeah, arguably, I think I do tweak around with the charges a little bit, because, you know, you do want, it is good to do as much damage per shot. Yeah, I do tweak around with this, don't I? So just, you know, the math for this is quite simple. If you have that, then if you know, twice the charges, slightly less, and I think this is what I end up going with. And I also add camo just there, camo digital 4, I think it was? Yeah. Digital camo just seems to fit Plasma Craft. I'm not sure why, it just kind of does. And then it goes pew 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 pew. And now you can see we're doing a lot more damage, because the trick with Plasma is, if Plasma destroys a block, the damage propagates, and like if it doesn't destroy a block, the damage doesn't propagate. So you do want it doing enough to like kind of shred a block and cause that plasma explosion, which is what makes it good against dense clumps of armor. And what are you doing now? What are you doing now? And let's see, what are you doing? 4, and then... Alright, so this is the point where I think I just do math just to check myself. And then, of course, I set the colors again, because why not? And save, 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 you gotta do that. It goes pew, 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 pew. Yeah, so they're like, if when in doubt with Plasma, I'm finding that, like, if you just get it to about 60 RPM to match whatever it's, how many charges it generates per second, like, that's kind of like your starting point, really. This is just seeing how material efficient it is. Plasma does tend to feel quite material efficient, simply because, like, it can do a hell of a lot of damage per shot. And yeah, this is more like it. This it's already taken out a turret. And where are you aiming, dude? That's one of the main complaints with Plasma, and I'm seeing other people saying this as well, is that it's hard to see the actual projectiles, because they can move very fast and there isn't much of a tracer on them. And now we're going through the middle, and you can see they're doing much better than before. Pew, 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 pew. Yeah, you're getting right in there. We can see custom jets falling to bits, because this is what you want, especially against something like the Pyre. You really want to, like, take out the jets, like, real quick. And the material efficiency is okay. It's not great. Like, you can get much higher values with plasma guns, but we've torn through, like, the midsection of the Pyre, like, arguably the thickest point of the armor. I think the camera shake was me just kind of going, hehehehe. Not sure why I was doing that. Past BorderWise, you're weird. Alright, so I think I just sit and just, you know, sometimes in testing you just can be like, hehehe, block confetti, it's great. So yeah, this is a murderous thing, and one of the great things about testing a single turret like this is that this isn't the only turret it's going to have. It's going to have 2 CWIS turrets as well, APS, and torpedoes, because you do need something to tackle things underneath. Or things underneath, things under the water. So yeah, that is like taste the rainbow, mother fluffer. And that was me just checking the material efficiency again. So yeah, this Let's Build is so far, it's a combat, it's a, you know, live fire testing of this plasma cannon. And I mean, like, you might be looking at this thing and like, alright, so it's doing okay, but it's not like it instantly kills the Pyre. It's like, well, the Pyre's hard to instantly kill with a plasma turret, or at least a plasma turret that costs less than the Pyre does itself. And I forget how much this plasma turret costs. It costs a fair amount. But there you go, dropped into the water, and that's what we want. And now I'm happy, so we're going to save that as placeholder. And we're also going to bear in mind, just keep in mind how many of those big steam turbines we need, because that's non-negotiable, really. And also, yeah, let's, now we get to actually make the hull, because this is a kind of White Flares style monitor, so to speak. We're just gonna do something like that. And I also am trying to get in the habit of, like, using more spaced armor in my designs. Simply because, like, Plasma... Well, Plasma is a thing now, and we just gotta get used to it. And that means, like, spaced armor is not really negotiable anymore. Which is a bummer for me, because people who've been watching this channel for a while, you might have noticed that I really like to make compact designs. I might like to make things that, you know, fit tightly together, so to speak. And yeah, so also, just a little note on my brief love affair with, like, checkerboard armor, which I got from Gmodism. More people have done tests with that, and apparently it is worse against APHE than, like, say, stacked metal and wood and just alternative. So it's not bad, but, you know, it's not the best armor in the world, as it turns out. So yeah, like, I need to go back to the video I made on that and just... Did I make a video on it? I don't know. I don't remember if I think I did. I don't recall. I actually don't. So yeah, we've got a nice thick alloy deck, because this thing is going to need to be floaty. And you'll notice that the gap filler, those beam slopes, go all the way up through the deck now. That is a habit I am cultivating at the moment, simply because you don't want to make a weak point in your deck, even though the deck is arguably quite a thick part of the whole thing. And yes, this is something something about, what was I saying? Alright, so that kind of pattern, just like 4 slopes, 4 beams, is something that I'm also kind of fond of doing right now. It's interesting how just, like, when you play From the Depths, like, your style changes over time as you try things. I'm quite fond of that. It's not the best hull design, because you do still end up with wasted space, but I like how it looks, and you still have enough space for fun and activities, so to speak. And so we're just gonna fill that in right there. And I am making life complicated for myself right here, because this whole thing is basically gonna have a big giant turret, and then yeah, and then supporting turrets fore and aft. So yeah, that is a thing, I guess. Whoop, and just get rid of that, so we still have that. And of course, placeholder 2, gotta save your work, and if you don't, well, you're gonna have your troubles. And this is the interesting part of this, is me trying to figure out, like, alright, so we actually are gonna soak down here, because, like, what you're seeing here is actually the superstructure. It's already been built. It's the bit that's above the rest of the deck. It's probably not the superstructure that people want to see from me, but it's a superstructure. So yeah, that's it's basically just going to be me figuring out how to do this live on camera, and just dropping the... Yeah, this is interesting. I haven't actually done this before, or at least I don't remember the last time I tried doing something like this. So that's a thing. And also, just having to keep in mind that you do want to do if you're gonna go ham on the heavy armor, like I seem to be doing these days, you do wanna just, you know, go, like, you know, do proper ham with it. Like, don't do like, you know, cheap nasty bacon. Do full bacon, because broadsiders, like what this is gonna be, they do get shot from the front. It's gonna happen. And in case anyone's wondering, I don't think this thing is going to be able to take on the really big stuff like the Druckenslang and the Gimli and stuff like that, simply because Plasma, for, like, you know, resource efficiency, like, on a, like, you know, damage per resource spent on the actual weapon system is kind of bad, simply because it's so pricey. It's got a specific role to do, and it does it pretty well. So this is a kind of endgame canoe that, like, you know, when you're going up against the Grey Talons or something like that, you're just, you know, murdering this thing wholesale. Murdering this thing wholesale? What was a weird way to say that? You're murdering just airships wholesale. So it's like, alright, so you're bringing your heavy armor. Well, screw you. I'm bringing the plasma. And so, yeah, this is going to be nice and pointy, because that makes my brain happy. And we're going to have to deal with the consequences of our actions later. So yeah, a lot of this is just me figuring out the hull now. Now that we've got a nice turret, and by the way, a little note, I've made videos on it before, like, either method works. So, if you basically build the weapon system first and then build a hull around it, or build the hull first and then build the weapon system to fit, either way can work, and also either way can fail. It depends on what you're doing. If you're doing something like this, where you want the whole dang point of it, it is to be the gun, so to speak, like, then yeah, like, weapons first is smart if you want the weapon to accomplish certain things. In this case, it's just be a big plasma gun, which isn't that hard to do, as you just noticed. And, as you probably just saw. But if you want to keep something small, then building the hull first is probably a good idea, because size creep tends to happen when you just build the internals first and then build out. So yeah, but at the same time, building the internals first can also help keep things small. So like I said, it varies. Like, I've had success either way, and this thing is almost certainly going to have a lot of room for fun and activities, just because. And there's always the question with this kind of design: do you want to keep a uniform armor thickness across the whole canoe length, or do you want to be more efficient? So in this case, I want to be a little bit more efficient, so, you know, doesn't have to be the same thickness all the way across. Protect the important bits. So bits that are important to protect are close to the middle, obviously, and then less important stuff is towards the bow and stern, the things I don't mind being blown up. And this is just me testing to see if the damn thing floats, because it's important that it floats. Yeah, I might swap out that wood for alloy if the thing really has trouble floating. Incidentally, that's another reason that, you know, it is a kind of arguably a bad habit that I build so compact, is because that's why my ships have such trouble floating. They don't have air in them. Except, like, a lot of the time, I'm not fond of using air pumps to do things, because, you know, it's not a matter of if your compartment gets breached, it's when it gets breached. I've tended to find. So I'm more of a fan of just, like, having a super floaty alloy deck, keeping the whole thing above water, which kind of works, and sometimes it doesn't. So, you know, that's kind of how life goes, I guess. So yeah, I tend to be using heavy armor, like, quite willy-nilly in my designs lately, which I'm not sure if that's smart. It's probably not, but heavy armor is one of those things, like, and I've said this many times before, like, if you use it correctly, it's absolutely wonderful, but if you use it incorrectly, it is really, really bad. So yeah, when in doubt, use less heavy armor, not more. You pretty much only want to put it in places where you think it's really needed, which is why, like, in the hull here, we've got an array of beam subs, because that's really good armor. And, like, having built the Drachenslung and tested it against multiple scary things now, and yeah, I need to test against even more scary things. Look forward to the Drachenslung taking on things like the Ragnarok and the 5th season and that kind of thing. Yeah. Those beam slopes are wonderful. They make, like, really wonderful last layer of armor, and there's multiple times where, like, you know, giant, like, frag shells, or just, you know, piercing shells in general, they just get through all of the armor, all the layered wood and metal and alloy and whatnot, and then the beam slopes are just that last layer that stops it from hitting anything important. And I'm like, yes, perfect, that's what we like. That's what we like to see in this house. And there we're gonna have some metal. Metal, of course, is best armor overall. When in doubt, if you're building something in From the Depths, you gotta use metal, because metal is, well, it's metal. It's like heavy metal. I don't know what that riff comes from, but I just came up with it. And this is the point where I realized, like, alright, so the last, however much of this canoe I have here, there's not going to be anything important in there anyway, because we've already, like, gone past the point where there's room for anything useful. So, it's me blocking that, and me thinking, like, to myself, like, alrighty, ho then, how do we get space for azipods? Because azipods are amazing. And I will fight you if you disagree. I'm not sure anyone's going to, but yeah. I friggin' love azipods. They're really necessary for long, skinny craft like this. Because they have a real problem turning if you don't have azipods of some kind. And what are you doing? Okay, so there we go. We've just copy-pasted that. And shifting that along, I guess. And then I think I realized, alright, hold on. Think about what you're doing. Think about what you're doing. There we go. That's better. Just have a little extra thing there. And we're being naughty. We're using the regular slopes, not the other ones. And there we go. You can see where the thing is. Saving right there. Jurassic Park music? What? And yes. Probably should have used something else there to keep it nice and floaty, but I guess not. The great thing about just having empty gaps in your craft is like, alright, well, that does actually function as armor. Anything that doesn't pierce particularly well is going to hit that and still be stopped at the very least. And yes, we have enough room for fun and activities. I love fun and activities. Hope you love fun and activities as well, because by gum, we're going to have them. The hull is almost complete. Okay, no more Jurassic Park. I hurt myself. Yeah. Alright, so yeah, just fleshing out the deck, and now we're having a look here thinking, And it occurs to me that, like, right, okay, I forgot to do the thing that, like, you know, I've been making myself do so much, so let's do that. And yeah, that's probably alright. There we go. And she floats, barely, but she floats. So we're just gonna do this now. We're gonna lots of slopes. When in doubt, lots of slopes is good. I forget whether you put alloy or metal in here. Probably alloy would be better because you do want the bow and stern to be nice and floaty. Actually, I forget to make that a double layer. Damn it! Need to go back and fix that. So now we have a lovely area for azipods right there. And in case anyone's wondering, this isn't going to be like the Drachenslong, which is a hydrofoil. This thing isn't going to be a hydrofoil. It will have large rudders for like control surfaces and stuff like that. Yeah, nah, it's not going to be a hydrofoil because, well, it's just not going to be. That, you know, it's not the idea of this thing. Probably could make a mean hydrofoil like this. It's also interesting that once you've built really giant craft, like we're talking like over 50,000 blocks, anything smaller starts to look, well, small. And it's like, huh. Also, this is my, like, usual cheat for making large craft is like, you know, make the front the same as the back. And this is actually why, like, if somebody was commenting on a live stream saying that they wish they could build as fast as me, it's like, well, if you want to build quickly in front of the depths, well, do stuff like this. Cheat. And prefab like crazy. So now we have a full hull, and yeah, we just have a full hull. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Well, maybe not easy peasy, lemon squeezy, but, you know, you get what I mean. And we need more air gaps. There we go. And yeah, lovely. And this is just seeing how floaty it is with the air gaps. And we might need to do... There we go. There we go. There we go, pig. Okay, yes. Just blocking in, getting nice and sensible with how these work. And this is the embarrassing part where I'm like, oh, damn it. Like, I forgot to do the thing. Okay, jolly good. So, I think all that's left here is like I'm gonna just start plotting out like where the extra turrets are gonna go, because this is a turret design. This is a kind of ship design that I'm getting quite fond of these days. Is like having a big turret in the middle, and smaller turrets fore and aft, which is, like I said, it's a very white flare kind of design. And I used to build ships that were like very much like the white flares, like no superstructure, just, you know, guns in the middle and guns forward and back. And I don't know, it can kind of work, but also, you know, I do tend to find that like having a superstructure, which essentially just acts like aim point spoofing, is actually kind of good. So that's one of the reasons why that turret is like got so much armor around it, is because it is going to get shot at a lot. The middle of your craft is the easiest part of the craft to hit, so anything aiming there does tend to hit it. So there is that. And this is me adding even more heavy armor here, just so the AI compartment has something to go. This medium-sized AI compartment, which I make, is like... and after all that, I just, yeah. That prefab is something I use, like, literally all the time. Like, that's another thing. To speed up your building, just whenever you catch yourself doing something over and over again in your building, no matter what kind of craft you make a prefab of it. Like, that's what I do. I just use the same prefabs over and over again. I'm super... Well, there's a fine line between being efficient and being lazy, but yeah, that's how we do. And this right here is where I'm like, oh, damn it, I don't have enough room for all the steam engines I need for this thing, which means I might have to cheat. I might have to flesh things out a little bit. So, yeah, this is me, hopefully, being all cool and being like, I really hope that's enough steam in there. So, that looks to be about it. Saving it properly. And something here. Big Plasma Canoe with a K. And yeah, so there we go. There's the screenshot. And there's another screenshot. Not sure why I did that. So yeah, that basically is it for part 1 of this giant Plasma Canoe. This build is experimental in multiple ways. Like, it's old habits combined with new habits I'm trying to cultivate in building, and also things I haven't tried before, like having a giant-as plasma gun, for instance. So, that'll do for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Support me on Patreon or YouTube membership if you like. It really helps, and there's fun perks in it for you. Thank you to all my current supporters, and I will see you next time in From the Depths. Let's build. Farewell.